Welcome to CEO Money. I'm Michael Yorba. Thanks for joining us. I have Kristen Sosulski, professor, speaker, and consultant of data visualization with me on the show today. Kristen, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, William.
I'm glad you're here. Tell me, what are some of the reasons why we create visualizations?
Oh, there's lots of reasons, but the two primary reasons why we create data graphics are one, to explore and understand our data. So visualizations give us an interface to look at relationships, spot outliers, and see changes over time as they reveal patterns in the data themselves. And then the second reason is for presentation. So presenting data graphics. So folks that don't know the data as well as you do can understand clearly those trends and patterns that may have emerged in your data.
Now, when you're creating and presenting visualizations, what should we keep in mind?
Well, first off, you always want to keep in mind your audience. And I'll break this down into a few different levels. First, what level of prior knowledge and understanding do they have about the topic? And secondly, do they understand the data as well as you do? And can you present it in a way that makes it really clear and easy for them to understand? You don't want them to be working too hard. And this means everything from presenting a data graphic that they can understand and that they're familiar with. For example, if you have an audience that may not have training in statistics, you don't want to show them a box plot or a violin plot or a histogram. You may want to show them other types of visualizations that might be more familiar, like your bar and your line charts. And so going simple doesn't mean going dumb. It just means connecting with your audience and showing things as clearly and as interpretable as you possibly can. So those are just a few things to keep in mind about your audience.
Talk to me about the tools.
The tools. Look, I categorize the data visualization tools that you can use in your practice along 4 different areas. So first, you have your basic productivity applications. So things like Google Charts, which is available for free to create web-based and interactive visualizations. You can also use Excel. And you can use the iWork suite. These are just some simple tools that you can use that I call basic productivity tools, things that we all kind of have access to on our desktop or through our Google Apps account. Second is specific data visualization tools. Now, this is something like Tableau. You may have heard of that. There's also things like Gephi that allow you to create network visualizations, or ArcGIS to allow you to create geospatial visualizations if you're really taking a deep dive on that. So there's specialized applications exclusively developed for data visualization. Then you have your business analytics or your BI, business intelligence platforms that allow you to create dashboards that are using data graphics that show you what's happening in the now. Right? So dashboards always tell you kind of what's happening right now in the moment, or whatever the moment is of time that you need to look at for your business. You may only look at things quarterly or monthly, or maybe you look at it second by second. And then the fourth category of tools comes in like your programming languages. And so this is anything from Python to R, where you can use specific libraries to create really robust data graphics, both for the exploration of your data and also the presentation of your data.
Okay. How would I, as a CEO, use data visualization to improve and to grow my business?
Oh my gosh, I believe data visualization is a leadership skill for managers and executives. So it's a way to create a culture within your business that's a data-driven culture and a data sharing culture, an information sharing culture. And so I would do it from the inside out. And really that, where we use data to make decisions and establish a data-driven decision-making culture in an organization. And how can we show evidence of the ways in which we use data to make decisions? And that evidence is not only going to be shown in a spreadsheet, but corresponding charts and graphs that really distill and synthesize the information that we're using to make decisions. And so that's just one approach.
What about training our managers so that they can use it better?
So important, right? So training managers in building this culture and actually using the tools. So let me talk about the tool part of it. First, when you think about any data graphic, you want to make sure that the proper explanations accompany that data graphic. So and the proper format of that data graphic is realized. So what I mean by explanation is explain what those data axes mean, the X and Y axis. Tell me what those variables are. What are you plotting? Explain what the encodings are. What I mean by encodings, what does the line mean? What do the dots mean? The points. And this is what I mean by the graphic encodings of the data, the bars, the pi wedges, what have you. And then once you've done that, now why don't you show me or explain to me what the key insight is? What should I actually be looking at? Should I be looking at how the line has changed and how there's an increase or a slow decrease? And so point to me the information that's most important, show it to me on the chart, and then explain to me what that key insight is. And there your chart should be used as evidence to persuade and demonstrate what you're actually saying. So the second point with regard to training is know your format. So are you presenting in front of someone? There you're using your words a lot more and you're writing less on the screen and on your graphics. But what happens if your audience is reading a report like a PDF document or a report that's meant to be printed? Okay, the explanations have to occur in text form, and you need to guide the viewer's experience and how they reference the chart and make sure that every piece of information that you provide is going to be meaningful and support the key takeaway that you want your audience to have. And then I would say the third way with regard to format, that is really important, speaks to what if you're providing something that's supposed to be for your phone or mobile or online. And the way you design those graphics has to be a lot different, right? So you might be encouraging exploration of the data, where actually the audience can actually put their own inputs into a dashboard, for instance. And I talked about dashboarding a little bit before, but having dashboards of the salient data for your organization can be really, really powerful. And these, are visual displays that show those key performance metrics that are most important to decision making and to doing your job. And so as managers, making sure that not only you are trained in the practice of visualizing data, but also that you have the tools needed to explore and understand your data in a visual way, so it makes communication across, say, business units pretty seamless and transparent. So those are just a few things with regard to training managers.
What about manipulating the data? Mm-hmm. Now, there's got to be certain do's and don'ts and common mistakes that we all make.
Well, one is you need to look at your data. First step is look at your data and understand that your data is a representation of a phenomena that happened in the real world. And your goal is to understand that data. Go ahead and look at the data dictionary, right? And so this is a key that tells you what all those columns mean and those rows mean. So you should always make sure your data is tidy, and so you have variables that are organized in columns and you have observations that are organized in rows. If you're at that point, then you want to make sure that you really understand what those variables mean or those columns mean. What level of grain is your data? For example, am I looking at annual data? Am I looking at a snapshot of a point in time, or a summary, an aggregation of every data point for every year that my company's been in business? So you really need to have that level of detail and understanding first before you start visualizing it. And then you have to come up with some driving questions and see if your data can actually answer those questions. And then if you're doing good there, you can get an answer to those questions. Well, how then can you present those answers in a way that's visually compelling, but provides those answers in context? So if I ask you something like, what were your sales for, March 2018, you'll give me a single number. Well, put that number in context over a point in time, compare it to last year, do a year over year. So being able to show not just a single data point that might be the most important thing to communicate, but show that in context with those other salient points.
Got it. Kristen, it's been great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Michael. It was my pleasure.
Mine too. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.